It seems that Western leaders have restarted negotiations over the past few weeks to reach an end to 15 months of fighting between Ukrainian troops and Russian-backed militants in the Donbas. So what is the endgame for all sides in this conflict, and is the actual end in sight? John Batchelor delves into all that in an op-ed for Aljazeera-America. One of the key points of discussion in the recent teleconference calls between French President François Hollande, German Chancellor Angela Merkel, and Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko has been the current hotspot along the contact line in East Ukraine, a small village called Shirokina. Western leaders wanted both Ukrainian troops and the Russian-backed militants to completely pull back by August 3rd, but the deadline passed without completion. John Batchelor writes, these teleconferences highlight a general desire to resolve the civil war with the terms of the Minsk II agreement by the end of 2015. The question is whether the United States, Poroshenko's major backer, will accept these terms. While the U.S. has not been asked to sit at the negotiations table, Batchelor writes that it's the chief supporter of the Poroshenko government. It serves as a counter to the combined weight of Berlin, Paris, and Moscow. The U.S. recently announced that it will expand a military training program which is already underway in western Ukraine, yet the U.S. has failed to actually provide Ukraine with lethal military aid. Some U.S. lawmakers argue that doing so would provoke Russia into a full-blown conflict, which may engulf other European states. But the major concern among EU leaders, writes Batchelor, is that the often violated ceasefire along the Donbas front will collapse. This is why the sudden concern for Shirokina, where both sides have massed first-rate troops and weapon systems. So he argues that all parties are at a crossroads. They either take the path of further diplomacy or the path of war. He says that if it's diplomacy, Russia may achieve its goals of negotiating greater autonomy for the Russian-dominated regions in Ukraine. But if fighting completely breaks out along the front line, Ukraine will be in a strong position to call on the U.S. for military intervention. This will also put NATO under greater pressure to intervene. And this, Batchelor writes, will lead to a profound European emergency. That's all we have time for today. Join us again tomorrow for another press review. Here in Kiev, this is Tamara Rosevan for Ukraine Today.